All right, today we're going to take a look at examples of adding integers and how they look with models, and then some strategies that we can use. As a quick reminder, an additive inverse is simply the value that, when added to the original number, results in a sum of 0. Typically, these are done with opposites. Another thing I want us to start thinking about is the idea of decomposition, and this is when you're breaking down a number into its smaller parts. So for example, we can take the number 17 and we could decompose that into 10 plus 7. You could decompose it into 12 plus 5. It might be 9 plus 8, kind of depending on the problem that we're working with. And we're going to come back to that after we go through a couple of our other examples. One way we can think about adding integers is using a number line. Most of our examples in class with our floats and anchors were vertical number lines, but we can also do them with horizontal number lines. What I'm going to do to start is I'm just going to go ahead and split up my number line. Since we're starting at 3, I'm going to put 0 kind of towards the middle. We have 1, 2. And I'm going to start at 3. And because we're adding -5, it's like you're adding 5 anchors. Or when we're adding a negative, we're always going to move in that left direction. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we end up at -2. So 3 plus -5 is -2. Why don't you pause the video and try the next one on your own. All right, on this next one, we're starting at a value of -7, and we're adding a +3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and we end up at -4. That's how we can do it with a number line, and you can kind of move around. Now, obviously, number lines sometimes can be a little cumbersome to work with. So another way we can do this is with the idea of integer chips, which is similar to our floats and anchors. For our integer chips, our negatives are going to be filled in chips, and I'm going to make mine red. And then my positives, are going to be yellow. And if you don't have different colors, I'm just going to leave those open. So here we can see the model of -4 here plus +6. The thing I like about integer chips is now we can look at what ends up happening with our 0 pairs. Here we can end up making 4 sets of 0 pairs. So all of these together just make 0, and our answer is just what's left over. In this case, our answer are these two together, and they're both positive. So our answer would be +2. Why don't you pause the video and try the next one? This time we have +8. And we're going to add -5. Once again, I'm going to make all of those 0 pairs. And I'm going to look at what's left, which are there's 3 positives. So this would be +3. I'm going to encourage you to kind of create your own problem to work through. But let's think of some things that might be helpful to remember. So thinking through what we looked at, right? what are some notes that you could put down? Like one thing that I might think to remember is that the absolute value of each number helps determine the sign of our answer. So for example, when we did -7 plus 3, if we think about the absolute value of -7, it's 7, and the absolute value of 3 is 3, since 7 is greater than 3, it means there's essentially more negatives than there are positives, and that's why we ended up with an answer of -4. There's more anchors than there were floats. All right, hopefully this kind of helps think through some models of adding integers.